Welcome back to the LCS playoffs here live from the Palacio Vista Alegre in Madrid, Spain, as I am joined by Mithy from Origen. Mithy, very happy to have you here. How have you been enjoying this amazing event so far?
I'm loving it. I think it's really cool. The Spanish fans are very hyped, and yeah, it's really cool.
Well, I've seen a couple of Origen t-shirts here on the people. It seems that you guys are getting a lot of fan support. Niels actually said on the post-match interview that he thinks that you guys can be top 3 bottom lane in EU. What do you think?
Can be, sure. I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't like this top 3, top 2. This is just, I just want to play my game, you know, and if it goes good, it goes good. If it goes bad, it goes bad.
Well, that is a healthy attitude towards the next split, in my opinion. Let's talk about this game, the third place match between H2K and SK Gaming. SK on a roll. What do you think is going to happen in the next couple of games, if more than one game?
Between SK and H2K, I think if H2K can get their everything together, because it just feels that they're not playing with enough caution. So if they just play a bit smarter, I think they can take at least one game off SK. But yeah, I think there's still 2 games at least left.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope for 5 games in this one. Now let's talk about tomorrow. Fnatic versus the Unicorns of Love. Incredible matchup. Shine your light on that matchup.
Actually, I like to talk about the whole matchup because I think it's really cool. I think that it's going to be quite equal because I think Hylisang is really good. He's been stepping up a lot in the playoffs. Kikis too. And I think the solo laners of Fnatic are really good. Nothing to take away from their bot lane. I think they're really good. So it's just overall there's a lot of talent. And yeah, I'm really looking forward for that match. And I think Fnatic will take it, but it's not going to be a sweep.
Not going to be a sweep, but a great matchup indeed. That is tomorrow. Finally, here in Madrid, Spain, your home country. Anything you want to say to the fans, you can do in Spanish, of course.
Yeah, I'll do it in Spanish. Bueno, un placer estar aquí. Un abrazo a todos, muchas gracias por seguirnos a Origen, seguirme a mí y nada.
Definitely behind you. Well, muchas gracias por el interview y buena suerte en LCS. All right, and now we're going to go back over to our casters to get us into Game 3.
Thank you very much, Shocks. We are on the precipice of an SK victory here at Officio. It is game number 3. It is 2-0 in favor of SK Gaming. Crowd still as hyped as ever, though, and well, I said it, maybe we can bring it back in, but H2K's got some work to do.
Yeah, and 2 games in a row now, H2K with the first pick. First game, they took the Lulu, SK didn't care. Next game, they took the Rek'Sai, Svensson didn't care, he's just going to play Lee Sin anyway.
And they banned 3 champions against Forgiven.
Yeah, so both the first picks have done absolutely nothing. And if you look at the comps SK have been running, there have been some key picks for them. I mean, we can look at the likes of Janna for and Radis. Been working really well for him. So he had a bad semi-final, but he's really been stepping it up here on that champion. We know Kasin can play it. We look at the likes of Freddy under Shyvana top lane. They haven't really had an answer for it either. In the one-on-ones, he's been winning his lane every single time he got swapped into it.
And he's been splitting, drawing a lot of pressure. They haven't been able to grab anything back. And in that game,
exactly,
there was an early lead. They never got anything back after they ended up giving up more at the Baron pit. We'll see if it changes this time around. We're going into picks and bans. It could be the final time today between H2K and SK Gaming. Let's see what they take away. I don't expect too much different in the ban phase.
No, I wouldn't be surprised to see the same bans, unless maybe you want to go for like a Lucian yourself and leave that one open. Otherwise, you can ban the same AD carries. They're not doing it here for H2K, so we would expect Lucian to be a high priority target for them. But that would once again leave like Janna, Shyvana open for SK Gaming on their side. And now they're trying to figure out, do we want to ban Jinx or not? Or do we want them to pick the Jinx so we get their Lucian?
Yeah, that's what that tells me right here. They get one or the other. The Jinx is banned.
Still
I think this is going to be the first pick. Well, no, they give the Lucian over. They prioritize the Janna. Okay.
So why are we banning Lulu? A champion that SK Gaming hasn't really used too much lately. Yes, I know it was one of the big picks for Enrated. So they look to be trying to ban him out by removing Lulu and then first picking the Janna. I like first pick Janna for them, but it's not really too much of a surprise if Lucian comes in for SK Gaming. And we go back to the style they play the best. The last game here, H2K had times where they were ahead in the game. They could have won it. I almost feel like they lost the game more than SK won it. If you look around that Baron they took...
They made a number of mistakes.
Yeah, the Baron they tried to take and not really punishing the Vayne properly. in the early game. So had they gone back to that style, I feel like they could still have won the game. Now, we're changing it up a lot. Lucian already being locked in for SK Gaming. I really don't agree with Luluban against them anymore.
I don't think it makes a lot of sense. And this time, they've given up once again Lucian and Shyvana. Well, this time the Lucian, once again the Shyvana.
Yeah. And Shyvana's here against a guy who almost only plays tanks. Shyvana with Skirmisher Saber does well against tanks. So Freddy is more than happy. It also means SK Gaming can early pick their top laner because they know the one that Shyvana, no matter what, they're not afraid of anything else Odoamne can play. And while we haven't seen too much except for some good flanks, Freddy has still been winning that lane. Every time he got in the one-on-one, he's been pushing it down, applying a lot of pressure, becoming extremely tanky for the late game. If this gets locked in for Rio, it means Odoamne cannot pick a tank top lane, because then you have too much physical damage for H2K unless they want to play Corkin. It seems like they don't want to. So they really want to change up things here. I didn't expect Zed to be a big pick for them, simply because they want those tanks top.
Yeah, I didn't expect that one either, but there we have it. 2 physical damage dealers. The Sivir once again for Yarnan. Ryu will be on Zed, and he blind picks in the mid lane very early in the rotation. What does SK Gaming answer with here? And more importantly, what do H2K, what else do they have at this point? Because you've got to think they've got to make some serious changes.
We saw Diana top lane from them against Fnatic when they picked the Zed early to take it away from Febiven. Problem is about Diana top lane. First of all, you're not scaling in with it as a big tank in the late game.
Boy.
And also, you are so easy to gank in the early game that SK Gaming can focus on that lane. Nami, no real big surprise as the go-to champion for Red. Has been Annie as well for him. But Nami has always been a good pick into Janna in the lane. And when you have the Lucian locked in, that's a strong 2v2 lane now for SK Gaming.
Yeah, and with the Vladimir picked up too, they're going to have a nice spread of damage. Let's see what H2K rounds their composition out with. They definitely need some AP.
This mid lane matchup is so annoying for Zed, because whenever you try to deathmark onto the Vlad, he just pulls, and he just laughs at you, and he just runs away, and you cannot take him down. So it turned into a bit of a farm fest, where Zed will have the advantage in terms of pushing the lane up at least and start roaming around. But with an early jungler coming in, which we would expect from Svenska in either Lee Sin or Rek'Sai, you have that 2v2, or you have that early advantage in terms of jungles that makes it hard for Zed to start roaming around. And we are not going for tanks top lane for Odoamne.
No, we're going for tanks in the jungle this time, Divisio. So the Sejuani goes over to Lulex, and they take the Rumble for Odoamne. We'll see how he does on this one. Looking back at the games that they've had over the course of this split, of the many top laners that Odoamne has played, Rumble has not been one of them.
No, again, he's been put in situations where he's been forced to play different champions than what we're used to seeing whenever Zed gets locked in for them. So this pick for Rio has to pay off. It has to be able to snowball, because you no longer expect Odoamne to be in his comfort zone. Of course, Rumble, been practicing quite a lot, that's guaranteed. And it is a good pick in this sense because you need the AP. Up in the top end, you got Sejuani ulti into a Rumble ulti, then Sivir ulti, just to like basically run over SK Gaming. But you have to land the ulti from Sejuani and the ulti from Rumble to win the fights. Otherwise, when you look at SK, and once again, the superior late game for them, if they get to that point, if H2K makes mistakes in the early to mid game, it becomes so hard for them to win fights. And they get put in that disadvantage where they have to really outplay SK to win.
Yeah, and this is starting in the picks and bans in each of these games. It is really troubling for a team that has climbed so very high from where they started before in the Challenger Series, having qualified through the expansion tournament. They make it here to this stage to fight for third place against the more seasoned SK Gaming, and it really just hasn't worked out in the first 2 games. We'll see. It's a bit of a different composition this time around, but SK are going to be very happy with the one they've picked up. It's probably an inner flame, give each other another hug and walk off the stage. It could be for the last time today.
It could be for sure, and I'm really looking forward to see what H2K can do with this a little bit different comp. What Odoamne can do in a Rumble in the top lane. As you said, not a champion we've seen him play in the EU LCS so far. Only picked because they needed some magic damage so they could go for this Zed. And let's see what Rio can do on his tried and tested Zed.
We will see indeed, but this game, guys, at match point, we want to know what you have to say as we load up onto the Rift. Go ahead and tweet us at LOL Esports. You know the hashtags. It's H2K win or SK win. If you think they'll close it out right here. And here we go.
And one-on-one, this should be an okay lane for Odoamne. He's even starting Ruby Crystal, so looking to just rush the Haunting guys. Not going to be too afraid of Freddy early on. Again, Smite takes a bit of time to scale up because you need to complete the likes of a Skirmisher Saber. You need to stack up HP with your Syndol before you really start becoming powerful. That's where Rumble will shine. So Odoamne is going to do fine in the one-on-one if that should end up happening. Lucian Nami, though, is not a lane I would be very happy going against. H2K, a bit like in game 1, setting up the same way for a potential swap where they don't show the AD carry. They send in Odoamne first, so they try and bait and say, hey, Odoamne is on top side. Now you know SK, and he forces whoever is in this bush away. Freddy this time around adapted, placed the ward, so they spotted Odoamne as well. And they see all 4 members from H2K in this jungle here.
Now they're going to rove for Fox and Svenskeren backing away as the flail comes in. H2K placing all the deep wards again, trying to grab as much sight as they possibly can, but SK Gaming's bottom lane is right where they like to be in this case. We'll see if they stick with this lane swap. Given now moving up, helps Svenskeren out, presumably in the jungle to start this one off.
Want to start
Grom,
Grom,
swap. Okay.
as always, and then SK, because they know H2K is on the top side, can start invading into this jungle fairly uncontested and should be able to just trade red buff for red buff. And then we're going to have to see which team pulls the trigger on either using or sending their top laners to the lane, who's going to fast push it. If SK fast push with a Vayne in a lane swap, I certainly expect him to do exactly the same.
With Illusion.
Also why they're starting on Grump and not setting up a freeze in the lane. Just want the XP advantage instead.
Because Sing is doing the opposite though.
It's grouping up the minions to start the freeze. Against Freddy, it's exactly like in game 1. I like this against Shyvana as well. And you try and focus on zoning her away because she has no flash. If she's caught close to your tier 1 tower trying to push out the wave, you can gank her so easily, or at least force her away, and therefore deny a lot of farm. They didn't do the best job in game 1. Let's see if they can fix it for this one.
This begs the question too, is obviously Yarnan is on a very comfortable pickup in Sivir, but if your goal in the early game is to lane swap and freeze the enemy top laner, why do you pick a champion that's so good at pushing like Sivir?
Well, I mean, you don't have to necessarily push early on with her at all, because what you're aiming to do here is deny the enemy top lane and not get your own AD carry fed. So that's perfectly fine for them. We have to remember with Shyvana, she needs time. Shut her down, fight in the mid game when Shyvana sits on a Skirmisher Saber and a Syndol only, and you win that fight because your Rumble is so much stronger in the mid game with his magic penetration rush. Freddy, as always, going straight to top lane. This is why you're freezing, so you deny him all this farm here. And now you just sit there and you try and push him away from the minions as much as possible. And with him being up here, if you get information on where Svenskeren is, then suddenly you know the bot lane is safe for your top lane to teleport to, because there's nobody there to dive him. They haven't seen Sven yet though, so they might think he's around the bottom side.
Yeah, this time they're doing a much better job at denying Freddy the farm. Also getting the harass on too. Been able to pick up a little bit so far just with the smite, as Kasing takes a very forward position to push him back time and time again. Grab himself a little bit of gold too, thanks to his starting item. Odoamne and Lulex are going to meet Svenskeren as he hops his way over. Fox.
So now to see Sven, look, now they can go bottom lane. As soon as they get information on him, they know nobody's there to dive him. Suddenly Odoamne can pick up a lot of the XP, will get some of the farm as well, and will therefore get a bit of an advantage. Problem is that it's hard to deny Freddy from XP at least, because of the changes that were made. So like the range is a bit longer, and you can see him just staying around, but at least you won't get the farm, which is a small win for H2K.
And Odoamne is not picking up that much of it either. He's eaten another bubble here. And he's been pushed back quite a lot by Forgiven and Rated. There's a lot of harassment that can come out of a lane
but Rumble
like
is a
Lucian
champion.
and Nami.
Rumble is a champion who doesn't rely too much on gold. He's a low-budget champion who just needs a little bit to get his magic penetration, Haunting guys, and his boots completed. Then he needs to hit level 11. And you've basically hit your mid-game spike. Where Freddy, again, as we've said time and time again, he needs gold, he needs time. He needs 2 or 3 tank items completed before he becomes a big monster.
Exactly.
That's the big difference and why H2K is happy trading XP between the top laners.
We'll see if it works out for him this time. We haven't really touched on the mid lane. It's been very quiet as we check back in on it. For you and Fox, you mentioned this is a very, very annoying matchup for the Zed in terms of how he wants to all in. You'd think he would be playing a little bit safer. So far, it's just been a bit of a farm fest. Lulex going to check into the tri-brush, not going to see the ward that spotted him out. As he moves around, a couple of pings coming from SK Gaming as they clear the Scuttle Crab, look to set themselves up for their signature dragon control. Sven and Freddy waiting for Lulex to check into them.
Freddy leaving the top lane, it opened up for Kasing to do exactly the same because he wasn't needed to sit in a 2v0 and at least stay around the bottom lane and help out Rumble. They still have no control on the bottom side, and with SK getting the river, the Rift Scuttler and everything, can take that early dragon. No fight being started by H2K except for on the mid lane.
Look for Fox. He's going to pull away. Ryu isn't able to put any more damage on him. A little bit of Shadow Shurikens will do the trick, but SK nab Dragon number 1 again. It's 5.5 minutes into the game.
Standard start. Freddy is in trouble, sorry, for himself.
He has quite a lot of problems. Yeah, he's been denied a lot of farm.
This is what H2K wanted to do in game 1, and it's been working for them in game 3 now, which is super important for themselves. So the next dragon coming up should not go over to SK for free, because then by that time you should have swapped the lanes around, and then you can start contesting these fights, while Freddy's going to be weaker than your level 6 or whatever level it is for Rumble, but a Rumble with ulti and early magic penetration. So H2K, okay giving up the first dragon for the advantage they create otherwise in swap.
That is the trade-off they've accepted for now. A team that is known for the dragon control almost as well as SK Gaming have seeded it over, but this time they look in much better shape. Garnin still doing all he can to deny the CS for Freddy.
Yeah, but he had to close the tower.
CS. Okay, now he gets up to 8.
So Wave got down to the tower. Front one's got killed. Freddy was there to push it in anyway. So now the freeze is over and it's going to start slowly pushing down towards Freddy. If they want to continue denying him, they need Kasing on the top side and they need Lulex on the top side as well. Here's the engage though in the mid lane. Let's see what they can do.
Yep, Blade of the Rune King popped, but
there's the pool.
Or excuse me, the Bilgewater Cutlass popped, but yeah, the pool. Making it so Rio really can't get anything back for that.
Did force a flash though.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is fine for him. And let's see what Janen is doing. I would expect him to come back to the bottom lane. Start playing the 2v2 lane now. You got the BF sword completed. And then you send the Rumble back up and get his solo lane on the top side once it gets pushed in from Odoamno. He has to recall now unless he wants to blow a teleport.
Is recall in here. Freddy left alone. Was able to get back some of the farm that he had been sorely missing. Kasing continuing to roam around. There's the teleport being used by Odoamne. Wants to meet this farm head on, and he will get right back to it as Freddy backs away. So there's a TP advantage now for SK Gaming with no dragon to contest. We'll see if that takes effect in the next couple of minutes.
Freddy not really looking to do a whole lot at the moment. Just go back farming. Good thing for him is he can keep farming the jungle camps in his own jungle as long as Svenska is on the bottom side, which is being pressured from SK Gaming's bottom lane, so they can just keep pushing it in here, which basically means if Rek'Sai wants to go into the enemy jungle and start controlling that one-shot dual lane, the Sejuani, he can do it. Therefore, you also get pressure on the bottom lane tower, which then will end up going down before Dragon spawns again.
Yeah, we will see as the fight starts. Garnin pops on the hunt, and it looks like Lulex will be coming on in. He throws the Frozen Tomb. That's going to be first blood. Lulex picks it up. Glacial Prison, excuse me.
Such an important first blood, though. You saw what SK Gaming were trying to set up here. They were trading with H2K. Sven was even moving down towards the river before the gank even happened. And then Lulex comes in with the Sejuani. Such a good setup for him. And now you can suddenly push it back. You can get damage on this tower here. You can prevent SK from taking down your tier 1. Very, very important for H2K.
Very important indeed. Scuttle Crab does go down for SK once again. Not going to give them much more other than the speed and the vision. Right now, as there's still no dragon to take, Svenskeren hanging out in the brushes. He spotted the warning flag flies from H2K. Yarnin still in a very forward position, looking to push in the tower. Forgiven's back to lane, though. He's got to bail out.
Yeah, Yarnin didn't get to go back.
Oh, there's a calling on him.
Time. He on his 800 gold, but he's out of mana, so he didn't push in the wave and then recall. Seemed like he stayed for another one. Potentially to get enough for his average blade if he goes back over pickaxe for himself. This means SK can now push it back. ZN Ready even stops the recall despite being low on both HP and mana, just because they know they can push it into tower and even take it down.
So They will be able to do just that. Ryu Svenskeren is trading a few blows as the pink wards get close to going down. Ryu takes the blue buff for himself. Minute and a half till this next dragon is going to be up and available. H2K, they want to start establishing some control for themselves. We'll see if they're able to do it here. The Janna shield on as Kasing makes the lane a little bit ahead of Yarnin. Odoamne and Freddy continue to trade a little bit of farm out, but for all the denial they did, Freddy's caught fairly within sight of Odoamne here.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's been able to stay pretty strong by using the smite in his own jungle when he was being zoned out. Kept up in XP. That was what we talked about, how it's hard to deny him XP, but you can deny him some gold, which was successful at least for H2K. And now we get into this mid game here where the Rumble, once he goes back, will have that magic penetration, and H2K has to be able to win the fights. You know QSS is coming in later for Forgiven, so suddenly Zed is running out of targets with the Hourglass being built from a Vladimir as well, making it very hard for Rio late game to assassinate someone. No TP just yet for Odoamne. We should be up close to the dragon spawn.
Yeah, it's
we'll need items as well, though.
It's up available for Freddy, so it's in HK's best interest to maybe let that one sit for just a moment.
We'll let Odoamne push in top lane, let him recall then, get his haunting guys, and then you can look for a play around the dragon.
Yeah.
Nice little touch around
play
here.
For Svenskeren, yeah. On the hunts used and the spell shield, but that was all it really cost him, and that was after the initial fight. Glacial Prison not going to hit, forces the flash out of Enrated. 3 members pushing on this bottom side. Svenskeren looks to even the score as Dragon spawns. They spot him on a ward. And there's a teleport being spent by Freddy now. Odoamne will have the TP advantage.
Okay.
This is going to get interesting.
Freddy's struggling in the lane here one-on-one. He's being pushed in and he was forced back with Odoamne.
He wants to kill Odoamne right here.
He wants to go for him. Has nothing left to try and lock him down, but Odoamne forced Freddy back to base, push in on the tower, got him to TP as well, so that's not up for this dragon here. This has to go to H2K now. SK should not be allowed to start that dragon. What they want to do is potentially push in that bot lane tower and then go dragon after if they chunk someone from H2K down and force them back in base. You can see Kasing is down to 40% HP, is no mana. So if you get that bottom lane to recall, then SK, despite not having TP, can still get a dragon.
They can indeed, and as you mentioned, this is the kind of thing they should not be allowed to get. Kasing back is stopped once again. He's going to have to get back into the safety, but Svenskeren moving and roving around the Dragon Pit, he will be able to clear away the Scuttle Crab as well. H2K have just not contested these enough. They've not forced the hand of SK Gaming, and it's been easy pickings to try and start dragons this series so far. There's the death mark on Foxy immediately.
That was the correct pull.
Is going to pull.
On. Last time the death mark did apply, there was just no damage. So, with SK Gaming not having a TP, but winning the bottom lane so hard, that they started, H2K though are ready to stop it.
They are ready to pick it right back up, it would appear. This time they try to chase SK away. They're going to pull the dragon out of the pit, but they don't have the damage to finish it off just yet. Ryu going to move in on Fox. Ignite is down. There's another pull coming in as Ryu takes a few more tower shots. Fox should live through this one, but he will not be fit to fight for just a moment. Dragon still being fought over here. Lulex trying to scare Svenskeren off. We've had some close shaves this time.
The dragon reset.
Yarnin has to use On the Hunt to get away from Forgiven. This is not the cleanest executed dragon. It's going so low. We're going to be in for a smite fight here. They're waiting until they want to use this one. The bubble won't go in. It's taken by Lulex, but it shouldn't have come to that one. Svenskeren moves over, and so do the rest of H2K. Ryu comes up with a pick. The best of both worlds for H2K, but it looked close.
It took quite some time. You saw how Rumble was moving top. Oh, might not be over yet. Forgiven. Gets knocked away, though.
Yep, and now they're chasing on Fox. He throws down the Hemoplague on Ryu. Grabs a little bit of health back, and Odoamne throws the Flame Spitter on him. The pool's on. He's burning away. Do they have enough? The shark gets just a pixel away as Fox makes his escape.
So while H2K got that dragon, they would get mid tower as well. We talked about how Zed can push in the Vladimir a lot early on. SK is trying to trade and see what happens.
Yep. Oh, flash away from Glacial Prison. Forgiven makes it out. Some fancy footwork there. And Enrated and Forgiven still live to fight another day. Svenskeren in the mid clearing things out, but H2K have grown bolder by the minute here.
The only problem for H2K around that dragon was it reset, so it took a lot longer for them to take it down, even got in the smite fight. That meant Odoamne couldn't go back top lane and try and defend that tower against Freddy, because he had to return back down to the dragon and fight. So Freddy at least got an outer turret. They're gonna get one bottom lane. SK Gaming are behind in kills, but they got 2 outer turrets, so they are hitting gold. This is what they were looking for. They're a team who doesn't really care about early kills as long as they get the global toll from towers.
Sven's going to burn a flash immediately as the blue buff spawns. Ryu jumps over to join him. Deathmark's on, looking to stack another kill, but it's going to be Otawame that picks it up. Fox moving in now. Not got a lot of friends in the area. There is Freddy. Let's see what happens coming up.
Steals it.
Oh boy.
You jerk, Freddy.
That extra smite.
Walks in and smites it.
Extra smite. What's he going to do? He's got no mana.
That's true.
Cooldowns.
Nobody from H2K who really needed that blue buff,
but they
still,
didn't want to give
it's
it
something.
away.
It's something. I mean, it's good on Zed after all, but no mana use.
It's true, Zed's got no mana either.
He's going to get still some.
Yeah, he's going to get a benefit from it, but
nobody's sure what Sven was doing in there.
Yeah, he got caught very quickly. He burns his flash very quickly, thinking
yeah, and your Vlad was stuck in mid lane with no summoners, no ulti. So you don't want to fight there.
He does like to invade the jungle a lot, but it seemed a big oversight when he had to know that H2K would have vision around that point.
Exactly. Just a bit of a mistake from him, costing a kill for H2K. That's what they need. Get rolling here. Zed has to be one of the big ones. But you still don't want to go late game in these fights with it. We have to see Ryu start going down into a side lane soon. Bot lane is open. Use your Sivir then to take the mid tower because it's already really low and she can fast push it in. Now you get your fast pushing on the Sivir. However, that you were mentioning earlier, and it is exactly what H2K is doing, swapping around here. Ryu on his own. Lulix is there as backup. Can he bait a fight?
We will see.
Not sure if Forgiven wants to fight the Zed anyway.
I don't think he does, not even if he had a QSS in his back pocket. Right now, it's going to be Kasing and Yarnin facing down the likes of Foxen and Rated in the middle. Rek'Sai's coming around the bottom side. Svenskeren looking to even the odds here. They don't know for sure that Lulex is there. There is a Glacial Prison available if they want to make it a 2v2. But Freddy and Otawame are also duking it out up at the top side. Heavy slows coming in. Yarnin still not giving as good as Fox is onto Kasing. But they're defending the tower nonetheless.
Vladimir has been able to get past his early game. He has 5 ranks in his queue now. Has Spell Ramp completed as well, so he can really start sustaining himself. And now, as we have seen time and time again, for both teams, they swap mid laners to the bottom side. They can start fighting each other. There's still a trap. Lulix has been down here for quite some time, waiting for someone to show up.
Oof,
if they stun the Vladimir, he can't pull.
They got it. They're going to throw it. He still does the pull, but they have enough damage, hopefully, to take him down. They do as he burns away. Ryu picks him up and steps back. Clean kill, and forcing a lot out of Fox into the bottom side. They should be able to grab the tower as well. Forgiven throws down his culling. Turret gets taken in the bottom side. In comes Svenskeren to try and pick off Kasinger. Yarnin will be just enough to force them back. H2K 4-0 on the kill spread this time around. They may be down turrets, but only by 1.
Yeah, very important play. Paid off for Lulix to wait in that bottom lane for such a long time for someone to show up.
Point blank,
instantly get the kill. They were expecting the swap from SK. Once Sivir went mid lane, they were expecting Forgiven to follow and keep that 2v2 lane that is in favor of SK for as long as possible. And therefore, they were just waiting for the poor little Vladimir to show himself.
Freddy will TP back up to the top, join Otawame. This is key, though, that if Otawame doesn't get forced out and uses his teleport again, there will be the TP advantage when the dragon respawns in another minute. We'll see what happens there as he just hangs out in the tribe rush. Fair amount of vision for both teams here. Oh, Otawame might want to take a fight as Freddy moves right into him. Doesn't hit the Electro Harpoon. Forget the minions. Otawame does take a lot of damage from Freddy, though.
Very important, he used the ulti. Freddy has to now build up that rage once again. He wants it ready for a potential fight. This is where H2K is going to be so strong. Even see Ryu, he went back, had enough gold to just complete that last whisper, so went for it instantly to be as strong as possible for the next team fight in about 20 seconds. Also, he's one-on-one against Freddy, who's going to stack armor later if he wants to try and hold the Zed, at least. That's where he's going to
They look to dive this one. Deathmark on Freddy right now. He's going to be in some serious trouble as Otawame picks him up. Still, the armor.
The armor comes later.
Not yet.
Early on, it's obviously MR against the Rumble, so such an easy target for Ryu to just go up and kill him. Try and trade the tower now for this second dragon for SK Gaming. Third in the game. We'll get a tower though, so H2K really starting to get, or trying to get a goal lead. Item advantage for Ryu at least on the Zed.
Yeah, 2 members taking out the dragon. No contest from H2K as they try to defend the mid side. They should easily go over. No one really there to contest that. And of course, as you mentioned, they made the trade that they were happy with. So Ryu will back away after he pushes the mini wave all the way up. He's going to give a few more to Freddy, trying to deny some as they pushed all the way to the tower. But SK grabbed themselves Dragon number 2. Still find themselves, however, down in the gold game, but it is by a mere 600.
As long as H2K can defend the mid lane here, it's been an okay trade for them by getting that tower. But they cannot let SK Gaming keep getting dragons. From now on and out, it should belong to H2K.
This tower's
no
gonna
more
go down.
Trades though.
Bubble onto Lulex. It may have saved
Pool
some
is
lives
gone
right
now.
there. No more pool. They look for Fox. Sven Skaren's the one who gets locked up, but Lulex taking a lot of damage as he flashes away. Yarden, spell shield blown, but he's able to make his escape. Fox, a serious amount of damage on him as Forgiven moves forward. Fox trying to sustain up. Yarden now. There's an exhaust on Forgiven. Otawande comes in and picks up Fox. There's a shutdown, however, by N-Rated as he takes Otawande down. Forgiven flashing forward, gets another, picks up Kasing. And there's the death mark. Forgiven's gone. Ryu's out.
Ryu
And
shows no mercy. He doesn't care about your MVP. Nice play from him. He's really showing up on this Zed here. It forced Otawande on a non-tank pick, but so far it's been paying off for H2K. If you look at the kills, 3 for Otawande, 3 for Ryu as well.
They're trying to put the gold on who they want to. They know Yarden doesn't have to get it. Let's see how this one happened with the bubble. It looked like all was stopped, but then.
So, pool use here early from SK, and then fight is on. It looks like it's bad for H2K at first, but they're waiting for TP. There's no reaction from Freddy because he has no TP ready. It was used a lot earlier, so this fight is a 4v5 for H2K, and in the end, after trading 1 for 1, they at least go in and get a kill on Forgiven, which is the important one. But that was a 4v5 that SK went even in. 2 kills for 2. Look at Freddy on the minimap, he's just pushing down another wave.
Yeah, and Ryu goes in on the mission after the fact. It's just really cool thinking of him to clean up Forgiven like that. And it ends up being an even trade, but H2K are happy with it. They extend their gold lead a bit here, and they put more gold onto Ryu, importantly. He now sits with the Blade of the Rune King, the Last Whisper, and a Brutalizer. He's going to start hurting quite a lot.
I didn't see if he had Flash or Shadow in the start of the fight.
He did. He used the Flash towards the end to make his escape.
All right.
Just barely.
He could have played that a little bit more aggressive on the 2 carries who had no defensive
Did he get Grump
from him. But anyway, H2K looking to use the Zed as a split pushing tool now. Nobody can hold him one-on-one. But Vladimir can sit there and farm against him and just save the pool for the death mark. But he will never be able to really trade back, or at least
he'll stay alive in a 1v1.
Too much. Let's just say for the next few minutes here, while Zed is so much stronger.
And there's still no Zhonya's on the Vladimir too, so he doesn't have quite so many tools to evade this.
1 should be enough though.
Yeah. This mid game definitely looking good for H2K. They, as you said before, can't afford to give up any more dragons, but for the time being, they are looking good. Speaking of dragons, Freddy is now being targeted by Otawande after starting the fight on him. Harpoon lands, and there is the Flame Spitter. I guess he should have picked an Ice Drake to deal with it.
I really preferred if H2K here took the Zed and just put it in the Shyvana lane. She's stacking MR. There's no armor to stop you at all. There's a craft armor now for Freddy. Instead, though, he wants a kill in this bottom lane against Vladimir, who has pool and will get an Hourglass. So once that's completed, look for Ryu to go against Freddy instead and take him down. So that's an easy one-on-one for Ryu to win.
In this case,
finally completed. So Freddy has some armor now,
but only a little bit. That's the important thing. It's not going to be quite so much when you factor in the Brutalizer and Last Whisper, and it's really, really difficult for SK to one-on-one against Ryu. Smite's down. Sven Skaren clearing the wave away. All he can do to save this tower for now, but they've drawn a lot of pressure. Freddy's going to try to apply some of his own up in the top side. No one there to oppose him. Next Dragon 2 minutes away. Vision, however, in the river and in the middle side is controlled by H2K.
Finally been getting a few deep wards in. Well, this ping will be cleared though before it even spawns. Or not. At least not right now. It's a little bit weird.
Vision for everyone.
Vision for everyone. He's being pinged by H2K. Now SK just want a bit of farm.
Okay, so Fox, he'll get it in a minute. That's fine. Oh, wait.
What's more farm?
Wait.
He knew the recall. He does 2 things at once. It's fine.
This is called multitasking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now he turns his attention back to Grump.
No TP yet for Otawande. Will be ready before Dragon spawns. H2K does not want to give up another one. QSS is up for Forgiven. That's one of the key items Hourglass as well for the Vladimir. So it's not going to be easy for Zed to find a target, but you're still so strong that you do enough damage just like Shadow in EQ. You don't even need to potentially one-shot one for Ryu to still be very useful in the fights.
Found and raided, but Fox is there as well. Hemoplague's on, he's gonna pool immediately. Ryu could be in some trouble, but the rest of H2K are here, and the wave comes out. Will Hjarnan ride it? No! He makes his escape, but a lot of ultimates blown here, and SK Gaming take themselves a Scuttle Crab. 35 seconds left until the next dragon spawns, and they are pushing a big wave down
Yeah, they can take mid first here. It's only Hjarnan there to defend and go dragon after.
One shot.
As long as Freddy keeps pushing down this tower here, then if Odoamne ever leaves, well, Freddy just takes your tier 2, so he just needs to apply pressure. Ryu has now realized he can go and kill him, setting up a potential trap, but that would trade another dragon for a kill for H2K.
May not be the most optimal circumstances, and that's only if they can catch Freddy. He still has Dragon's Descent to make his escape too. Ryu going to back away from this one. SK now positioning to go for this dragon, and they can do it very, very quickly. I feel like H2K have fallen once again to the trap of complacency.
Yeah, that's a free one for SK.
It's dragon number 3 too. This is going to give them that movement speed that they need to move around the map quicker and deny H2K's pushes. Really crucial misplay from H2K there.
Ryu's now with his team.
Gold's even now, by the way.
Yeah, gold is even because of a lot of farm being picked up from funny enough Forgiven.
We're also even
always.
on towers.
Even on towers. 3 dragons, while they don't offer any gold, it's still important for SK to get them. And as long as Freddy's not really against any threat in terms of killing him, he can just keep pushing down that lane. Vladimir can hold his own against the Zed, at least defend on the towers, we've said time and time again. So it means SK does have answers for the split push despite Ryu being so far ahead on Zed.
Yes, it does. That means H2K are going to need to rely more and more on Ryu. As long as the timing window they have to use him, he's going to back at the bottom side. Meanwhile, you had Hjarnan pushing in the middle, but he was a little hyperextended safely while SK was doing an invade. And H2K had tabs on him, but that is no longer the case.
All right, now we see Ryu go top lane against Freddy. Freddy's still not strong enough to hold his own in this one, and meanwhile, dive around the mid lane.
A big equalizer. That's going to force Forgiven back, and a teleport out of Freddy. There's not a huge minion wave here. They're going to have to back off it for the time being. As Odoamne and the rest of H2K minus Ryu are forced back from this turret.
Aggressive play from H2K. Try and force some sort of objective at least. Side lanes are pushing for them in the bottom side.
Ryu's waiting patiently in his brush.
Top lane will very slowly push in for SK as well.
There we go.
So we reset the whole thing.
No all in on the Freddy. Yeah, they're going to send Odoamne back there. It's pinged out by SK, but he'll be able to push these waves back. Fox picks himself up a blue buff meanwhile. H2K just, they are still denying the tower objectives from SK Gaming, but giving up the dragons is how many a team has lost to this squad over the year so far.
More than happy with the way this game has been going. Yes, okay, you're behind in kills, but you're almost even in gold. You got 3 dragons. You're waiting for late game anyway. You got key items completed. Ryu trying to get Forgiven down.
Yes, he is, and he will. Ryu has even made it out alive after all the craziness. Hjarnan running wild in front with his own ultimate on.
Very, very important pick from Ryu. Opens up Sunny to force a fight, maybe around the Baron here.
They're going to start it.
There's no armor on Odoamne. He's not going for Hourglass at all. This is a very greedy build on his Rumble for himself. He cannot stay in the middle of the fights. Lulex is the only one who can also tank this Baron here.
Still very, very dangerous, and it could open up to a smite fight. Svenskar and the rest of SK Gaming are here. The Baron's going down, but is it going to be quick enough? Even though it is a 4v5, they're going to turn their attention on. Fine and raided. Fox is going to be the one locked up, and he's taken down after the exhaust. The Monsoon out. Unkissing, keeping them all alive. Freddy is going to be the next to fall. This time it's to Lulex, and now they can safely turn their attention, or as safe as it's going to get. Svenskar is still there for a potential smite fight.
Too low.
And H2K, yeah, they can't take this.
Only have 1 tank on it. That's Lulex. He's way too low to start it. SK Gaming lose a few kills here. Such a good play by Ryu in the mid lane against Forgiven that opened up for the Baron bait that allowed H2K to get more kills, which is what they need. But Odoamne still
But no objectives off
all.
of this. No objectives H2K have been able to secure.
I want to see how Odomne plays the fights, because if he ever goes in too close, then he's such an easy target to take down from a Vladimir and a Lucian. There's nothing to really defend himself except for that Abyssal Scepter, which obviously Forgiven doesn't really care about at all.
Do you think this is why he's playing so far in the back? I mean, he starts off with the Equalizer, obviously a great way to start a fight, but typically you see Odomne taking a little bit more of a back path rather than right in the front. I mean, Flame Spitter on everyone.
I guess the idea for him has been, he's been one-on-oneing the Shyvana, so the Hourglass doesn't really do him a whole lot there. And instead he wanted some magic resist, he wanted some early penetration, or more armor magic penetration with the Void Staff to potentially duel the Shyvana, but that shouldn't have been his main objective. He's way more about team fighting. Let's see what he can do though, before we criticize it too much. Because it depends on how he plays the fights and how H2K wants to approach getting the back line. This is one way of doing it.
They found Fox. They found the tower. Let's see if they can find some kills. And Rated is going to be the first. Svenskeren. Fox in the middle with the Zanya as he throws the Hemo Plague. Will stay alive. The Monsoon, however, will heal H2K up as they find Forgiven and they find a tower. Freddy running down to try and answer back. But SK's forces are scattered here, and we could be in for some inhibitor turret takes at 31 minutes.
We had to go back to base, though. Got dropped pretty low, so it's only 4 guys here for H2K versus the 4 from SK Gaming. They do manage to pull them off. Freddy, can he come in with the ulti? He needs to get onto Yanin.
Looks like they pushed him back. For now, Dragon's a minute away. Yarnin a little bit low in this one. Freddy has been pushed back. Odomne with the Flame Spitter there denies him as Ryu comes back to the fray. A wave starting to build up in the bottom side in H2K's favor. Odomne's found Freddy once again. There's the Dragon's Ascent, but they got to use it defensively. 30 seconds now on this Dragon timer.
Janna's been a very important pick to take away from SK in this game. They first picked it from H2K. It allowed Ryu also to play the Z, where Janna normally does really well in terms of protecting your AD carry. It's very hard for Nami to time her bubbles and waves with the Z going in, dancing around with his ulti as well. And also, this backline snipe H2K has, they managed to land such a good ulti from Lulex onto 2 carries of SK Gaming. Z comes in, Rumble ulti, there's nothing you can do here as an AD carry, you're just toast. That was very well played, set up by Lulex himself. Dragon is alive, SK is here, no AD carry though.
Was all and Ready could do to live through that one. Very surprising. As that happened, Forgiven is going to have to move quickly to get back to the Dragon Pit right now as H2K look to start this one off. Let's see if they're able to secure it. It's been a couple of close calls already. This will be Dragon number 4 if SK do manage to grab it from the clutches of H2K. Biding their time, not letting it reset just yet. Lulex taking up a lot of damage. In comes the culling from Forgiven. Still, H2K not fully committing to this one. Dragon getting very, very low. They should be able to take it. They do. 2 Dragons to them now as number 5 on the game falls to H2K.
SK simply couldn't get the right engage for themselves. I mean, they're running a composition we've seen a few times this series already where the main engage is coming from the likes of Freddy. On a Shyvana side, he needs to be able to get a flank. This was spotted by H2K because he was sitting in the mid lane, so they just positioned around him. We saw Kasing staying near him as well, just basically saying, you're not going to get into the back line here. I'm just going to read the Monsoon your way if you want to try and start a fight. And SK simply couldn't get the right engage. So another reason this Janna has been super good to take away, because SK runs with such a low amount of engage. That a full disengage from Janna can really stop everything.
This is a bold move here from H2K, but they don't see the ward in the back. Baron's going very low, but Freddy's here. Forgiven is here. They're going to turn their attention onto the Dragon.
That's a smite
down. The half dragon,
now.
that is. And that is 1 smite down. They should secure this Baron. They do. And a missed timing from SK Gaming results in gain for H2K. Now they have the Baron. They have the lead. Let's see what they can make of it, Deficio.
2 guys were on the bottom side. I think they were trying to take blue buff for SK. I'm not sure if it was spotted from H2K. They simply just rushed the Baron.
Oh, the Monsoon to keep them nice and healed up. The wave clear starting to get pretty crazy here. Fox is going low as he pulls away. The exhaust was down on him. Hemo Plague thrown out. Lulex, they went all in this one, but they think twice about it. Wait for the next mini wave to come and then get back at it again. They're going to have to deal with the bottom side soon enough. And H2K looks like they're going to back off for now.
Really been turning on the power here the last 10 minutes for H2K. Very even in goal beforehand, but then they started getting these fights where they simply just engaged with the Sejuani. Some fantastic ultis from Lulex. into the Rumble ulti, into the Z, and suddenly Forgiven goes down. He's been the target every single time. And that's been working wonders for H2K. Despite them not breaking into the base yet, they have been getting the gold lead by starting the fights like this. If Ludix can keep landing the ultis, they can keep winning them.
Yeah, and Ryu, big credit to this guy for just making sure he picks off the key targets, or at least is a big part of it. 5-0-5 out of 12 kills on this game. He has come up absolutely massive for them. And no one can 1v1 that Ninja.
That is still the case. Defensive TP from Freddy. So no flank option that way for SK. They're really not looking to start a whole lot. Potentially waiting for H2K to make a play and then try and counter it instead.
I mean, yeah, they got a TP out of that, and all they did was move down bottom. Let's see if they can get anything else here. There's some Rek'Sai tunnels on the backside. Void Rush is available. They could get flanked that way. But they don't seem interested in starting this. SK, I mean. Meanwhile, Yarnin and Odoamne going to start pushing up the middle, see if they can draw the attention again. They do draw Forgivens, and they go back down towards the bottom side. Are they interested in a dive? That's the real question. Looks like they might be.
They only have Ludix in the front.
Glacial Prison. Oh, they throw down a massive equalizer right in the back. Ryu gonna bail out of danger as he picks up the kill onto N-rated. Fox doing all that he can as the tower falls down. Svenskeren and Fox bleeding low. They throw out the boomerang blade as Odoamne backs away. Yarnin still looking for blood. Fox, Zanya Hourglass to keep himself alive. And they grab the tower. They grab kills. Everyone is just blinking. And now H2K have a chance to take even more in the middle. That's where they're moving.
Well, the guy with the one that at first he with the kill and the tower down, Ryu. It's not done. That was flash used.
Yep, that was. Minions at the doorstep for SK Gaming. Inhibitor turret taking down now Yarnin and Kasink, and they make their great escape with the help of the minions and the Jenna. That's exactly what they're able to do. Let's take stock of this one because H2K, they find themselves now up 7,000 gold in the lead. And the kill score has been with them all game. 37 minutes into this one.
It is so hard for SK to start fights. All they can do is just sit back and wait for Ludix to throw his ulti and then say, okay, we better be in a good position because the fight is on now. We didn't decide to start it. H2K did, because every time Freddy, if ever he wanted to try and engage, well, one soon away, that's it. Whole thing has been reset from H2K. So that's worked so well for them. Rio with the Guardian Angel.
It's going to be really, really hard to take Ryu down once, and then they got to do it twice. This guy is starting to be very, very scary for this SK squad, but he's not the only one. Those engages set up by Lulix, the Sejuani pick, has worked wonders for them.
Yeah. Ardent Sensor.
On the Janna, yep.
Well,
some interesting items.
It's an item I normally consider horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. But let's see why he's building it in this situation. Looking to buff up Yarnin and his damage. I don't know, would potentially just prefer the Soul Stealer? Because you're not really at risk of dying in these fights on the Janna. You can stack that up really well.
It's very true. He's only had the one. We'll see what happens in this fight as the Monsoon comes out. SK just start getting popped one by one. Odoamne is going to come up with a double kill and maybe then some. Freddy is going down as well. Lulix picks that one up. Fox all by himself. And that is going to be the wipe. The Inhibitor, they're going straight for base as Ryu spams that laugh. No minions at their back just yet. Guardian Angel not even popped.
Mithy the Prophet calling that H2K will win this one and we would at least get 4 games. That has now been confirmed. H2K, once again, just look at the setup. It's just them saying, okay, now we want to fight. Throw in the ulti, throw in the Rumble ulti after.
They lock him up, they do it, they force the issue, and with that, we'll be going to game number 4. 39 minutes in, H2K bring it back.
They did. And while in the start that SK Gaming had things they could do to keep it even, while SK Gaming were looking to go late, get these defensive items, like the QSS for Forgiven, get the Vladimir up to his late game point as well, the Shyvana with the Smite. They never got there in time because then H2K said, okay, 25 minutes, now it's time for us to just turn it on here. Start fights with Lulix. His ultis were so good on this Sejuani. I want to see that again for him.
I think so too. That was a fantastic pickup for them. They did so much work with the Sejuani, with the Zed. They denied farm to Freddy in the early game and it paid off. Yes, they gave up some dragons and it looked for just a minute like they may be giving up even more, but they brought it back around. This time, they took fights, they took calculated risks, and it paid off for them more often than not.
It looked a bit weird to start with the trades, where they were aiming for towers over the dragons, despite us saying, hey, if they go for these early dragons here, it's hard for SK to fight them early when the Zed is so fed, when he can go and kill targets. They value getting towers and kills over the dragons, so they did get a bit of an item advantage. And the build here from Odoamne as well. He never had to sit near the backline of SK, because all he did was land his Rumble ulti on the Sejuani whenever she, or not on Sejuani, but on the target.
On top of the Glacier Prison.
Yeah.
You got ice, then you got fire.
And that was enough for them to simply melt the backline of SK. So it was designed to just snipe down Forgiven every single time.
And if that didn't do it, Ryu would.
Ryu would. It is a greedy build, not going for that Hourglass, but in this game here, it really worked for him because he got that extra damage early on. He got the Void Stuff fairly early.
He held his own against the Shyvana, and that was very, very important now. So they bring it back around. H2K find themselves. It's 1-2. They still got a ways to climb. But for now, we're going to take a closer look at that game, send it back to the analyst desk to break it down.
Thank you so much, Pyra. We've got a series on our hands. Mythy to Prophet called it. All very happy about that. Talking about picks and bans, H2K said, okay, after 2 games, we had enough practice. We're going to give Forgiven the Lucian. And what a comp they had to counter him.
Yeah, the composition was really good at killing the backline. And the composition out of SK had a bit of backline diving and not a lot of backline protecting. So every team fight, any sort of engagement, their backline was just going to die. And as we saw in the game, it was just an extremely poor composition. H2K outdrafted SK.
Yeah, we don't really have to talk about Ryu on Zed because that guy is a monster on that champion. He's insanely gifted on Zed, but to make Zed work, you need an AP top laner. And Lulex as a player is known for having those heavy tanks. Mao, Kai, Sion, Shyvana, all those champions work pretty well on him. He made the Rumble work, and this is what actually impressed me. The build that he went for was 100% just to stand in the backline, throw the W on everyone who engages, and then Rumble ultimates whoever's focused.
Yeah, and
I just want to jump in on there really quickly about the Odoamne point. He lost his first game this year on Maokai in the first match of this series. He's now 8-1. Bounces back, pulls out the first time Hecarim, the first time Rumble. His Hecarim was pretty good. His Rumble was fantastic. And I want to just echo what Deficio was saying on the caster desk. It was a greedy build. It was an aggressive build. But when you hit every single equalizer, because Lulex is hitting every single Glacial Prison, because Ryu is like on point with Deathmark, it makes your job easier. This is the first game this series H2K has played as a team.
Yeah, you took my point, but one of the other things...
Hey, you gotta be quick here.
Yeah, one of the things I also wanted to say was, I think Deficio mentioned earlier how the Zed pick wasn't available for H2K because there was no AP mages out of the top lane. But Odoamne played a really good Rumble, and it really enabled the Zed pick for them.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate what I said the last game. We saw that Hecarim was okay and doing well. He maybe should have dared to go for those things when they weren't in the 3rd place match yet, but that is something definitely for them to think about going into the rest of the series and also going into the next split. We have a couple of replays to showcase how good Ryu is on Zed. In the first one, we also see 2 mechanical gods, Forgiven on Lucian and Zed, Ryu on Zed, showing what they can do if we can pull that replay up on the screen because it was so crucial in this match.
Yeah, here you got 2 immortals going at it against each other. You got Forgiven, who's going in with the ultimate, and then keep the focus on Ryu.
It's the Glacial Prison, it's paused everything.
Yeah, that just paused the whole replay for me, and it's really interesting. So there we go. He goes in, and then Kasing as Janna has to go in and throw her ultimate to make the save. And once that happens, Forgiven gets triggered. Triggering intensified, he sees he can kill him. So that's actually not the replay I was looking for, but yeah, there it goes.
Ryu's about to jump back in. He was poked out. Look at the W here, Dentist. This is what you got excited about earlier.
And that's the reason. So the W goes forward to apply damage, and now look at Ryu. He goes back in on the W just to throw the death mark on Forgiven and goes back out with style. This is just a true display of skill, honestly.
It really was fantastic, and I think it was these team fights and these picks that set H2K up. Look at this just flawless tower focus. First of all, Lulex gets both Forgiven and Fox, then a great equalizer into Ryu cleaning house. Anytime you have a really fed, really high damage Rumble, you use that equalizer for zoning to push the other team away and allow you to take that tower safely. H2K did that and they got kills at the same time. We finally got a series on our hands.
Yeah, beautiful. And SK bread and butter dragons, H2K bread and butter the towers and the way they like to push it. Definitely adaptation. Nice to see it coming in for H2K, the fact that they dared to go for different things for Odoamne as well. Looking ahead, Well, if they pick the same way, they got an actual chance here because they let the Forgiven have a champion he wants, and they dominated well on Zed.
Yeah, you can definitely leave the Lucian open now, unless H2K, unless SK adapts and bent out the champions that were good against the Lucian, which is the Rumble, for example, to deny the Zed or to force Odoamne on Diana, who hasn't worked for him in the match series against Fnatic. It's a very interesting pick and ban phase coming up now, and I'm really looking forward to which team adapts better to it.
I wonder if the priority on the AD carry bans will now start to falter. If you can beat a Forgiven Lucian, you should be able to beat a Forgiven Graves. You should be able to beat a Forgiven something else, mostly because of how fantastic he is on that. So, in my opinion, I think H2K should look at some of the other champions, focus on getting their players on high impact comfort picks, as opposed to trying to deny from your opponent.
I want to see them draft more of a team identity. Like they had the split on the backline dive, and they also had champions that were good with protection. So I want to see maybe them pick more of a same style, either diving the backline or a team composition that's good at cutting backwards.
Yeah, something that goes against that, because when we see him on an Annie, he goes all in, on Thresh he goes all in. This time he decided to go for the Janna, but it was actually a perfect pickup seeing how the rest of the comp they had. Although I don't normally associate him with those picks, I always see him going in as well. I did think that that worked out for him.
Yeah, but the Janna was absolutely everything they needed. They didn't need someone to go in because they had the Zed. They had Rio and Zed who goes in every team fight on the Forgiven. And so you don't need a support to start the team fight for you. You have the Sejuani going in with the ultimate, and you have the Rumble ultimate who equalizes the situation, and Ryu in the backline. What you need from your support is someone in the back row who's able to give some healing and protection to your carries, and the Janna was just a perfect pickup.
I also quite like the fact that it was a takeaway from N-Rated, who has favored the Janna this series. So it was a very early pick. It's not only a good, in theory, with some of the tools it added, but I like the fact it was denying N-Rated, putting him on the first Nami of the series.
Final point I quickly want to touch on, as we said, Ryu dominating on Zed. He loves that champion and pushes his advantage. Fox dominating on Kassadin in game 1. You could argue to say that was because of the setups and he got those 2 triple kills. Orianna and Vladimir, I'm not particularly impressed.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue with the Vladimir is it didn't really fit with the comp, in my opinion. I didn't notice any too large misplays out of him. It seemed like he played the Vladimir quite standard at an LCS level, but there was just no opportunities for him to make any moves.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what they decide to go with in the next game. We need to go on cooldown as we gear up for game 4, where H2K needs to keep it up to tie the series. Stay tuned.
They're waiting for a smite fight here. They're waiting until they want to use this one. The bubble won't go in. It's taken by Lulex, but it shouldn't have come to that one. Sven Skaren moves over, and so do the rest of H2K. Ryu comes up with the pick. The best of both worlds for H2K. Fox trying to sustain up. Yarden now. There's an exhaust on Forgiven. Odoamne comes in and picks up Fox. There's a shutdown, however, by N-Rated as he takes Odoamne down. Forgiven flashing forward. Gets another. Picks up Kasing. And there's the death mark. Forgiven's gone. Ryu's out. What happens in this fight as the Monsoon comes out? SK just start getting popped one by one. Odoamne is going to come up with a double kill and maybe then some. Freddy is going down as well. Lulex picks that one up. Fox all by himself. And that is going to be the wipe. The inhibitor. They're going straight for base as Ryu spams that lap. They do it. They force the issue. And with that,